Christ calling, and many people do feel that. Some people feel to be monks and nuns, others have a calling of partnership as their path. I think you will be shown, it will be given to you, but that partner that will come along will really share that deep calling.
Yeah, the Christmas age was kind of like, I felt something like this year I needed to trust the Holy Spirit. That's what I felt. And actually I cried when I read that section of the book, because I was in love with her and we have all these goals, but then after that it was pretty much just letting go. And I even tried, I actually went back and trying to fix things up, but I couldn't. So anyway, this year I just kind of like said, I'm gonna take this year to focus on the course and do my best. So.
Now, one of the things you were saying was that peace of mind is the primary goal, and I find that's been one of my goal, but at the same time I'm frustrated and irritated because my mind isn't always at peace. I'm oftentimes chattering and get in disturbed relationships with somebody, and I'm thinking, and I know that the forgiveness is about me planting God in their mind through forgiveness, and that frees me up, at least until I come into another moment and do the same thing all over again in a different way maybe, but is it at some point that you actually get the peace of mind where the chattering's gone, or you're not singing songs to yourself that repeat over and over again and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it does happen, but it takes like the Buddhists talk about, empty your mind of everything. And the Course, has a workbook lesson, simply do this, be still, lay aside all thoughts of what you are, what God is, and hold on to nothing. It sounds quite Buddhist in nature, because it's such an emptying. And that seems to be, we could say, a process that's involved in time. The ultimate experience is not a timeline experience. It's transcendent. But going through the process is the most gentle way. That's what the plan of awakening is. It does seem to involve collapses of time until the alpha and the omega, come together as one, and the beginning and the end are completely dissolve away in an experience. But meanwhile, you just have to have the faith and the trust really to go forward and just use every relationship and whatever you're feeling, use the feelings as like the barometer. And when you're feeling anything other than that peace, that deep peace, then that's definitely a forgiveness lesson flaring up. And it's just nice to have a context for that. And also, I have this thing called Forgiveness, an Instrument for Peace. It's like a worksheet with 12 steps. And people find that even working through those worksheets and keeping them in a notebook sometimes is helpful, just because it's like evidence of all this inner work that they're doing. Because when the ego flares up, it's like it just blots out everything. All your spiritual advances, every mystical experience, every miracle that you've ever had is just blotted out in this darkness. And it just seems like a deep, dark, depressive pit where you've gotten nowhere, and you've gone, have no spiritual experience when that blackness sets in. And so it's nice to have some evidence, whether it's friends reminding you, or mighty companions, or even a notebook, like, no, I've really done a lot of work, see, I am working through this, I'm not a total failure. You need to have those reminders around to remind you when you're in your darkest hour. Joe,
yeah, when I study the Course, there's certain things that kind of I know are true, and it may be challenging to really implement. Like, if you say, in my defenselessness my safety lies, and I know that's true, there's not a doubt. There may not be a willingness to do it, but there's a knowing it's true. But in terms of special relationship, I feel, I don't care what the Course says, I want a special relationship. I want it, I don't care, I think I need it, yes, it may not be the end, but it's the beginning. And the Buddha, when he was on his journey, he realized at a certain point he needs to start eating because he's been too emaciated, right? And I feel in terms of not having a special relationship, I'm emaciated in that regard. And so I feel like I need a special relationship. On the other hand, then I feel like, well, then I have this grievance, well, I don't have a special relationship and, I hold it against God that He did it to me. Look what happened with them. Well, I have 100,000 stories of how it didn't happen, right? Like all the magic happens and it doesn't work for whatever reason. And so it's kind of a weird position where, certain principles I know to be true, but I'm not convinced that I don't need a special relationship, and I go for it and don't get it, and then I wind up with a grievance. So it's kind of a weird thing. And that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I think you and lots of people in this world could say, raise it up and say, okay, I want to start with that special relationship because that's where it starts and it has to be taken to holy relationship. And yet, if you have had so many, what the world calls failures in relationship, or so many opportunities where nothing has really stayed on in a sustained way, then it can be that feeling you're talking about. And from a deeper perspective, there's a song that I play a lot from Elisa Amor that is about I have a kingdom I must rule. At times it does not seem I am its king at all. It's talking about the mind, and about how in this world, when the mind fell asleep, it seems to have given away a lot of things to the world. There seems to be an external world now that functions independently of mind, even though that's not the case. It seems like people say and do all kinds of things that seem to have nothing to do with decision. The people seem to have wills of their own minds, separate minds, their own decision-making capability. And then it seems like a relationship can seem like a risky or a kind of a distant experience when you've been on your own a lot, and it seems like I'm not even getting any kind of nibbles here, much less any bites. It's like being at the fishing pond and being
right.
It out there is like, yeah, okay, God, you say you use special relationships, let's start with one there. I'm not even getting the middle. And yet, what the Course is saying is that everything that seems to occur, not only in our little personal lives, but even more on a global and we could say on a cosmic level, even in terms of the planets and the spheres and the black holes, that everything is the result of a decision. Because our mind is literally, we could say, the Christ mind asleep. So we have this amazingly powerful Christ mind that has bought into this incredibly limiting belief system. And it even has taught us that we are powerless in this world. That we are a victim of the world, and that we are powerless to, for example, even have a relationship. Like, if I've got such a powerful mind, I should be able to conjure up a special relationship.
Right.
If it's that powerful, and evidence seems to start to mount where it's like, oh no, I can't even do that. I can't even pull off that. So that's where the mind training comes in, to start to empower us, to start to realize how powerful our mind is. Even though we have books and movies like The Secret, which talks about the power of manifesting, the power of our thought and so forth, that those are just stepping stone ideas along the way to begin to realize the power of our thought and the power of our mind. That the mesmerism, the sleep is so deep, and the belief in lack runs so deep that it can seem like we have issues about survival, issues about having a relationship, getting even a relationship to start with, just a basic one, all these kind of things. That just shows you the depth of this belief in lack, and the extreme depth in this belief in deprivation. Whether it's deprivation from love and intimacy, or around money and things and possessions, we have to realize that there's a very deep baseline there that we're starting from, and we're asking the Holy Spirit to take us step by step and empower us all the way back to being the Christ, to being the full I Am presence. So, I don't know if Armel, you might want to speak to that too for Joe.
Yeah. I think I was having that thought too before. I was in a relationship when I met David and Helena, and I talked with Helena, and she said, Armel, because my calling when I met her was so strong, and she said, if you want to do that like fully, you won't be able to stay in this relationship. You will have to leave it and just fully go for it. Oh my God, no. And she said, then if it's meant to be, it will be given to you, but some are not meant to be, and so you will just follow what is given. And I was scared because I was like, oh my God, I want a relationship and I want to have someone in my life and just everything. And but I felt that this relationship wasn't fulfilling, and that we were both on spiritual path, but not the same one. And I think that always in my heart for those last year before I left everything, I was traveling a lot, and I was always wanting, like, between having a relationship or following my heart and just traveling and just going for it and just leaving, coming, leaving, whatever. And my friends were always telling me, Arnold, it's time for you to settle down, have a house, do your job, and have a relationship like everyone, And we're like, oh, that doesn't sound like me. And I was just really feeling that the day that I will fully, but really fully, with 500%, following my heart, it will be given to me. And I will meet the person that was meant to be with me, exactly as I am, and I won't have to change anything. And I knew that, it's like it has always been there, but I was trying to be like everyone. I was trying to be in the world. I was trying to be in a relationship like everyone was in a relationship. And still, I think it's yesterday morning, the Spirit still told me the same thing. Armel, I just want you to be you. I don't want you to be like anybody else. And I will use you that way. I don't want you to copy anything or anyone. And it's really that. It's that just following fully 100% my heart, and then knowing that there is no sacrifice. The path of the Spirit is not a path of sacrifice. It's a path of attraction. So if I still believe in those things, and I was coming from a very deep belief in lack, where I was really feeling I'm not able to do that alone. I need someone by my side. I need someone, I don't know, to whom I can put my head on the shoulder, or I can cry in his arm or something like that. And I was just so scared, because I was feeling if I totally open my heart, if I really open myself fully to that, to what the Course is saying, I was like, oh my God, I don't know, I need someone to follow me, to catch me if I fall. And it has been given. And it has been given in a way that I couldn't expect. I wasn't planning on Eric. Nothing really was what I thought, but it was absolutely perfect. It was what I've been always wanted, looking for, but even that I didn't even dare in previous relationship. I wouldn't have maybe come to Eric at first, but once I was with him, I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly it. I never dared, but it was exactly what I wanted, what my heart was going for all over again. Like he said that the first week on the phone, I was telling him, oh my God, this is so simple. Can a relationship just be so simple? And we're like, oh my God, we are talking about sex, we are talking about money, it's the first week, we didn't meet yet, and we are already having those deep topics. And I went, oh my God, wow! And it was all what I was feeling that a relationship would be. That's always how I've been dreaming about it, like just having those deep conversation, no secret, sharing everything, communicating, sharing the same purpose, being free to totally, fully follow my heart. And just like, oh my God, wow. And this is it. This is like, what do I want? This is always coming back to purpose, even in the relationship. Every time that we had like seemingly conflict and that the ego is really, really high, it's like, okay, what is my purpose? What is the purpose of this relationship? Okay, healing of the mind. Okay, get it. Okay, thank you. And just always stepping back to that and to my mind, okay, this is not about falling in love with Eric. This is about healing my mind and everything I believe about Eric, which is not true. It's like I'm always wrong, and I'm never really seeing the blank sheet on anyone. I'm always meeting someone with my past and with what I want to prove about what I think about myself. So if I think that I am unworthy or lacking, that's what I will try to find witnesses in the world in order for me to prove what I believe about myself. And when I start to really train my mind and really undoing and giving up, like giving over to the spirit all the belief that I hold about myself or the world or others, then it's like the reflection is changing and my purpose is not the same. I don't want to confirm that I am lacking and worthy or angry all the time or whatever. Then it's like, no, I don't want to give that purpose to anyone. I don't want to make anyone guilty. I just want to see innocence and truth. And that's what is reflected, and that's what is given.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question that's not related directly to the kind of relationships you're referring to. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, good. So I've been involved in a metaphysical death for the last 7 years, and I'm right now feeling like I'm in a real spiritual crisis, and have been very much on a very committed spiritual path of awakening as long as I could consciously remember. So I feel that I've lost my my faith or trust in spirit and allowing spirit and surrendering, and I'm really, really stuck in like all the negative things, or what I perceive as negative things, or the negativity that I've put in the universe over the last, few years. So I'm just not, I'm not feeling good, and I need some kind of guidance as to how I can plug back into spirit, maybe in a way that I still never have, so that I really can understand what it is to surrender and trust and love and just be the light that I am.
Yeah. I went through times like that too, very disillusioning periods in my life, and something from A Course in Miracles that really was helpful to me was this idea that I like it simple, like give me something really simple when I'm like a plane going down in a death spiral. I need to have something really significant and simple that helps me pull out of the crash. And there's a section at the back of the text of the Course which is called Rules for Decision. And Jesus starts off with these first two rules. It's basically, decide the kind of day that you want. Just decide the kind of day that you want. That's number one. Okay, I can remember that one. Decide, wake up, decide the kind of day that I want. And then number two is, if I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. And he actually says, he's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but he says, it's the top two, just kind of like the commandments, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and might, love thy neighbor as thyself. The rest if you can handle the first two, my God, you don't need the 10 commandments. That's too complicated. And it's the same with rules for decision. If you can handle the first two. So one time I was kind of going in a funk, and he does say in that section that once you kind of get away from the first two, it's harder to get back. That's why he's got 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because he said it's much harder to get back after you get away from the simplicity. Once you get into the complexity, it's a mess. It's absolutely a mess to navigate back to the simplicity of that miraculous, peaceful experience. So I was reading through some of the other ones at one time, and it said something to the effect that as soon as you start to feel upset and you're not trusting, you start to feel that spiral, you have asked a question by yourself. And I thought, well, that's right, that relates to number 2. If I make no decisions by myself, this is the day that will be given me. Peace, happiness, harmony, freedom, whatever word you want to give to it. So he said, you've asked a question by yourself. So I started scratching my head and going, all right, let's really get down to it now. What are you talking about? What is an example of that question that I'm asking by myself? I'm in the spiral, but I have no clue where I've gone off, the spiral, and gone off the joy. I mean, I've gone off somewhere. And it seems really complicated, and I said, can you give me an example of what it means to ask a question by myself, apart from the spirit or the intuition? And Jesus said, yes, I'll give you an example. And the example that Jesus gave me was, of these illusions, which do I prefer? That was his example. Of these illusions, which do I prefer? That starts the spiral. That starts the nosedive. And think about, if you had to come to any planet in all of the galaxies, the many, many galaxies that they're still discovering. This is just one tiny planet in one solar system, in one galaxy of all these galaxies, that if you had to come to a planet that offered you distractions, that offered you idle images, that offered you ways to get lost, what a planet for getting lost. It's not hard to get lost in this planet, because there's so many. Let's talk about a menu. I mean, you go to the restaurants nowadays, you go into Denny's and it's like, oh, the new expanded Denny's menu. I just wanted a Grand Slam. Do you still have a Grand Slam in here? My God, it's like a book. I'm like reading a novel. I don't Denny's anymore because it's so complicated. And what brings in the complexity and what brings in the disillusionment and the where are you spirit and everything is getting lost in that question of these illusions, which I prefer. Now, what I found, Jesus does say in a different part of the Course, he says, in any circumstance, in any situation, the question that you should ask is, what is it for? What is the purpose? And none of us are used to doing that. You imagine growing up and you're sitting there at the dinner table with your mom and dad and your sisters, they bring in whatever, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, something, you turn your nose up at it, and having one of your parents go, no, let's look at that. You're feeling upset about the Brussels sprouts. But let's be a little philosophical here. What is it for? What is the purpose underneath it? What is the purpose underneath the Brussels sprouts? Usually it's like, your Brussels sprouts are maybe something to cry about. Or no, some kind of threat, or we weren't raised starting to ask ourselves these deep, penetrating questions. Like Carmel was asking about the relationship that she was in. What is it for? What's the purpose? What's the purpose of the relationship? And so that's a good example of asking a question with the Spirit. Because the Spirit is saying, you believe in all these thoughts and beliefs that are not true, and you have to be willing to question them. You have to be willing to say, what is the purpose of this? With everything. And so that's an example of a helpful question, is what is it for? Whatever we're being confronted by. And an unhelpful question would be, of these illusions, which do I prefer? Which, if you take any topic about money, sex, possessions, relationships, houses, climates, even science and physics, and you have all the questions that you can get into of fractals, and I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And if you start to realize you've got a preference thing going on here, and you start to get tormented over the preferences, you can get in a real dark spiral that seems to have no end to it. And after a while you go, is there even a God? Are you even there, Spirit? I'm caught in a labyrinth. I'm caught in a maze. I'm like Alice, I've tumbled down the rabbit hole, and I found myself in a very strange place where all the proportions are off, the sizes are off. And I'm looking around for help, and all I find is the Mad Hatter. Everybody seems mad in my life now. I'm looking around for sincere guidance, and I've got a bunch of mad, angry, crazy people that are around me in a crazy world that seems to be upside down and backwards, and do I even believe in you anymore? So that's what I did. I started to ask